Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my little book nook. We are gathered here today because it is the end of the month, it is the end of April, which is insane, but that means that I'm gonna do another TBR. I'm gonna do one for May because that's the next month. I'm not really someone who makes a TBR. I made one for the first time for April and I put 10 books on there. And I have mixed feelings about it because, on the one hand, it was very, very useful to have a list of books that I needed to read, and so I didn't have stress to choose another book because I have no ability to choose whatsoever. So it always feels like I take more time choosing the book than actually reading the book. So having a list of books that I can just tick off when I read one is quite handy dandy. But on the other hand, I set myself a goal of 10 because I knew that is a achievable goal. 10 books for me, I mostly read like 10 to 12 books a month. So 10 books is an achievable goal for me. However, I struggled this month because of one book that I will not be naming. So I didn't actually really finish my TBR. So a few books are coming from last month's TBR to this month. But yeah, I really did realize that I put a lot of pressure on myself trying to get those 10 books finished. But I always do that. I always put a lot of pressure on myself trying to get as many books finished. But having a list of books I have to finish is giving an extra hint of anxiety because I'm like, I said I was going to read them. Hi, Goose. So I have to read them. And if I don't, then I suck, basically. Which isn't true. That's just what my head believes. But having a list set that I need to read in that way is not the greatest for me because I will drill myself into the ground when I don't make it. And that is not a great time for me. But I did really enjoy having a list for the reason that I could just tick them off and I didn't have to be stressed about what I was going to read next. So I'm going to do another TBR for this month. I'm going to try and see how I do this time. And maybe I will find my way in reading through a TBR, or if I still feel a lot of pressure at the end of the month, then I might stop. But throughout the month, I'm gonna just compare the pros and the cons of having a TBR, and maybe we'll see another one next month. Maybe we won't. Who knows? I have one for this month. I have 9 books for this month. I'm gonna go under last month's goal because I know for a fact that 9 is doable because I read 9 books this month. Again, thanks to a book I will not be naming. But I'm gonna see how I do this month. I think I have 2 that are jumping to this month from last month. And the one I'm gonna start with is actually the last book in a series because I said I was gonna read this entire series in April, and I almost did that. And that is going to be the Atlas Complex. I read the Atlas 6 and the Atlas Paradox both in a week, and I really, really enjoyed the Atlas 6. That was a solid 4.5 stars for me. I really enjoyed that one. And I really enjoyed the Atlas Paradox a little less than I liked the Atlas 6. The Atlas Paradox got 4 stars. But other than that, I am really enjoying the Alexandrian Society. So I'm going to finish the series. I just have to. People have told me I should have just stopped after the Atlas 6. but I enjoyed the Atlas Paradox, so I'm probably going to enjoy this one. Hopefully this is either a 4 or a 4.5, or maybe even a 5. Who knows? I'm really excited for this. I'm really excited to finish this. Also, it's a very pretty edition, so I'm really excited about this. The Atlas 6, by the way, is about 6 extraordinary smart kids that can do a sort of magic, and everyone has their own sort of magic system. And they get invited to join the Alexandrian Society, which is a highly prestigious school. And they have to basically fight for their spots there. And it's very entertaining. It is multiple POV, so if you don't like that, maybe not for you. I enjoyed it. I don't usually read multiple POVs, but I enjoyed it. Some more than others, and especially through the audiobook. One audiobook narrator always sounds like she's in a tunnel, which is quite annoying, but it's fine, I guess. The next book I'm gonna read is newly released, and I have actually kind of a funny story. The book is The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo. I like Leigh Bardugo's work. It is not a secret. I love Six of Crows and The Crooked Kingdom. I also adore The King of Scars and Rule of Wolves. They are my babies. I love them. Anyways, a funny story about this. I have no idea what this is about. I do not read synopses. I don't know. I couldn't tell you shit. Sorry. But funny story about this book. I tried to get this in the little store. There's a little bookstore in the central station where I get on the bus or get off the bus going to or from work. And sometimes most of the times actually, because I always have time left. But I like to just pop in. I don't always buy something. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Anyways, I wanted to buy this because it had just been released like 2 days earlier. I picked it up, went to go pay for it, and turned out that the systems were down. So we couldn't pay by card. I always use my phone or on my watch, so I don't have any cash. And the only way I could have paid for this, because the systems were down, was through cash, which I didn't have, so I had to put it back. So I was kind of annoyed. And a few days later, I was at the central station again, and I was like, I really want that book. But my anxiety was maybe the systems are still down. Maybe you can still just only pay by cash, and you still don't have cash. So I kept pushing it off because I didn't want to be told that the systems were still down. I didn't want to have that humiliation. That was humiliating to me. Don't know why. It just was. But it took me like a week to finally purchase this. So I got on the train and I was like, I'm gonna just peek through. And then I found something, this edition is very beautiful, by the way. But the funny thing about this one is, this is my dust jacket, right? Right? This is my other dust jacket. I somehow picked up the one copy with 2 dust jackets. I don't know why I would need 2 dust jackets. But I have them in case I do need them. Anyway, that was really funny to me. It was just it just gave me a little present for having to wait a week, I guess. But yeah. Anyways, I want to read The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo in May. So I'm gonna do that. Another one that is coming from last month to this month, because I didn't get to it because of someone I'm not going to be talking about, is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I am still excited to read this. I'm still terrified to read this. I also don't know what this is about. Guys, I don't read synopses. I have no idea what any of these books are about. Apart from maybe the Atlas Complex, because I read book 1 and 2. Other than that, no fucking clue. Don't come to me for synopses. I don't read those. Anyways, I want to read Addie LaRue. Still. And I'm gonna get to it this month. I'm gonna do that. So staying in the V.E. Schwab corner for a little while, I want to read, I don't know what order these are in. I want to read Vicious and Vengeful, which I think is a duology. I don't think there's a third book. If there is, then I'm very stupid, and I will also read that. So I'm gonna read those to stay in my V.E. Schwab corner for a bit. She's one of my all-time favorite authors. I also don't know what they are about. I just want to read them because V.E. Schwab. Okay, so to another book that I want to read, Witch King, which is about a demon that has been murdered and woke up again. Not sure how he did that. And he finds someone trying to harness his magic. That is all I know. It sounds intriguing. I am excited to read this. I've had this on my shelves for a few months. So I am excited to read it. Yeah. Also, this cover is kind of cool. Like, that's a good cover. It's a good cover. So I want to read Witch King. It's going on the TBR. The next book I want to read is actually for Becca's Alpha Hope book club. She does a book club in which she reads a series. So like how many books there are in a series, that's how many months the book club is going to be. So after the series is ended, she just picks another series and we just start all over again. This is the first month I'm actually participating because the last book club she did was a 7-book series and I wasn't there for the start of it. So I didn't feel like catching up. So I'm just starting now. And I'm starting with Daughter of No Worlds by Carissa Broadbent. I don't know what this is about. She is very pretty, though. She's very pretty. Don't know what this is about. But I am excited to read this with the Alpha Hope Book Club. I'm going to see what it's about. It's getting embarrassing of how little I know about the books I want to read. I'm very much a mood reader. I just pick a book based on a cover and I'll just read it. I don't really... sometimes when I'm in the bookstore, I look at the synopses and then I just forget immediately after buying the book what it's about. So I put it on my shelves and it stands there for months until I feel like reading that, and then I pick it up and I do not read the synopses and I just go in blind, and then I either love it or hate it. That's my system. It has worked for a while. It is still working. I don't read synopses, which is clear given how little I know about all the books I'm going to read this month. But the next book I do know something about. I know that it's a romance because it's Icebreaker, and I know it's a hockey romance, an ice hockey romance. So basically it's just it's an ice skater getting into a relationship with an ice hockey player, and that's that. I'm trying to read more romance because I primarily read fantasy. So I'm trying to like branch out more into romance and true crime and mystery and thrillers and shit like that. So I'm gonna try reading one book out of my comfort zone every month. And it's a romance this time. And it's gonna be Icebreaker. So yeah, I have heard mixed things about this. A lot of people love it and swear by it, and a lot of other people wish to throw it out the window. And I'm going to see which group I belong to. I don't usually read romances. I'm a very, very big fangirl of Ali Hazelwood, and I love The Hating Game, and that is basically it. I've read maybe 2 or 3 romance books that were not by either Ali Hazelwood or Sally Thorne. So we're gonna see how I do. And for the last book on my TBR, it is the first book in a series because I like to torture myself with starting series. But I have read and heard and seen a lot of good things about this series, and I've read another series from this author, which I really enjoyed, and the character from that series is coming back into this series, and I really like that character. So I really want to return to this world, basically. So I'm gonna start Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber because I want to read more about Jax because he is kind of badass and I kind of love him, even though he's an asshole. I know next to nothing about this other than Jax is in there and Evangeline, and shit happens. Yeah, that's all I know. Shit happens. It's a 3-part series. I'm really excited to start this series. But I think I'm going to start this at the end of the month because then next month I can finish the series without having to wait too long. So, but yeah, the end of my TBR is Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber, which I'm excited to get to. Which I say about pretty much all the books I'm gonna read, and then I end up not wanting to read anything because I don't feel like reading them. So that was my TBR for May. I'm gonna see how I do. Hopefully I do better than I did this month. Because this month was, safe to say, a fucking disaster. So, okay, so that was all for me today. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for watching. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.